We are just one day away from the mashup between the Indianapolis Colts and the Los Angeles Rams, and this is shaping up to be one of the bigger matchups of the season. I think when the schedule release came out early on, this wasn't necessarily a game that we had circled because we had no idea what either of these teams are going to be. But now it's shaping up that both of these teams are very, very good with the potential to continue to be very, very good. Rams being 2-1 and the Indianapolis Colts being 3-0. And they have some similarities in who they faced. And so we're going to cover that. We're going to cover what are the keys to victory and why I think the Colts should have no problem facing up against the Los Angeles Rams and coming away at 4-0 for the first time since 2009. What's going on? It's Elijah from Sports Talk Indy, where we cover all things Colts every single day. And we got 5 matchups, 5 key battles that the Colts are going to have to win in order to come away with a victory in this. And I think we've got good news on all of them. So the first one is this, and this should come to no surprise, is that this defensive front must step up. The big storyline coming from this is that the offense has been able to do pretty much whatever it's wanted. Only one punt, again, through 3 games. It's been a very, very good game for the Indianapolis, or a very good season for the Indianapolis Colts. But one area of which is of note is this defensive front. You've got guys like DeForest Buckner, Grover Stewart, Leatu Latu, who missed a game, and then Kwity Paye. You've got Samson Ebukam, Tyquan Lewis. You should have no problem being able to get pressure on the quarterback. And yet, through the first 3 games of the season, the Colts have only logged 7 sacks, 0 against the Denver Broncos, and they've lacked consistent pressure from start to finish in any game. Now, there was obviously the first game against the Miami Dolphins where the Colts, I think, looked the best defensively and were really able to put somewhat of consistent pressure on Tua, but this isn't, as this report says, we're reading the report coming from Horseshoe Huddle, but they're not facing Tua, they're not facing Bo Nix or Cam Ward, who all lack experience in these specific situations. They're facing Matthew Stafford, who knows how to read a defense better than almost anyone in the league, and who still has a rocket arm. If they're going to be able to come away with a victory on this, they're going to have to work and get this defensive front to be able to face off against what isn't necessarily a crazy good offensive line that the Los Angeles Rams have. The next one is obviously this. You got to get touchdowns and not field goals. The Colts have kicked almost more field goals than anyone. They've scored more points than anyone, and yet they have the least amount of punts than anyone. They have the second most overall yard behind Buffalo with 1,256. Behind Buffalo with 1,260, so only 4 yards behind the number one, and yet they have not scored near as many touchdowns as you would hope. They currently have the second most amount of points in the league, and yet a majority of them are field goal points. So you really hope to see, if you're facing off against a team like the Rams, you've got to be able to finish inside the red zone. They have almost the worst red zone completion percentage of anyone as far as resulting in touchdowns. So you hope to see that they're going to continue as this offense works together and has more time to develop. You really hope to see that they're going to be able to do that. And I have no doubt in them. I have no doubt in this team, but I do think that this is going to be an area of which the Colts need to improve on drastically. Indy has 9 touchdowns, but 11 field goals through the 3 weeks of football, and Sykin must figure out a way to be far more efficient at hitting play dirt on Sunday, or his football squad could find themselves trying to catch up to the Rams. This is another area where I think we're not focusing enough attention. That's going to be Braden Smith and Bernard Raymond. The Colts' offensive line has been great. Jonathan Taylor, great for Jones and Jonathan Taylor, but however, Sentry isn't considering the ground attack, but the protection of Jones against 2 specific Rams defender, linebacker Bryson Young, and defensive end Jared Verse. These are 2 guys that I think still significantly fly under the radar defensively, especially Jared Verse, who came up pretty much out of nowhere. I mean, he came in the year that Aaron Donald retired, and I think that vastly overshadowed what he's been able to do. Jared Verse has been absolutely incredible. I remember watching him on one of the primetime games and just being absolutely shocked. And this is going to be an area that the Colts offensive line is going to have to really, really settle. This is something that Daniel Jones historically in his career, both at Duke and at the Giants, has struggled with, and that is being able to handle pressure and still make an accurate, good decision. It's not necessarily even been his accuracy as much as his decision-making under pressure. Now, That being said, we've seen so many clips already this season of the Indianapolis Colts being able to navigate the pressure, and I think that he's gonna do very, very well. But Raymond struggled against Bradley Chubb in Week 1, and Smith isn't known for his pass blocking. These two will have their hands full against Verse and Young on Sunday. I think this is going to be a very key matchup, especially in the run defense. I think it's going to be very, very challenging. And this Rams, again, this is an undefined Rams team. We don't know what we're facing. They've got guys like Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua on the offensive side that's very, very good. On the defensive side, they have a lot of guys that I think could be very, very good, but also they're guys that aren't necessarily your big ticket players where you know a lot about them. They're not signing massive contracts, but Sean McVay is a very, very good coach. I think this could be a very challenging matchup between Bernard Raymond and Braden Smith and Byron Young and Jared Verse. The next one's going to be Michael Pittman. This is, I think, a very, very clear area where the Colts are going to really need a guy to step up. Alec Pierce suffered a concussion. He's not going to be in. If you saw the deep ball attempt last week, it was gnarly. He went down hard. This is going to be really, really challenging for the Indianapolis Colts to rely heavily on Michael Pittman and Adonai Mitchell, who came in initially. Adonai Mitchell was drafted to be the guy opposite, or the guy to fill in for Alec Pierce, who at the time wasn't necessarily doing all of these crazy things offensively and really wasn't filling into what we thought it could be. And then last season, he comes in, has the most yards per reception at over 23 in the NFL. And then this season has just been able to do exactly that. But also, he's been very, very good underneath. And I think this is going to be incredibly important for guys like Michael Pittman and Adonai Mitchell to step up and be able to continue this. And I think that's going to be a big portion of this. This is the last one. This is the big one. We didn't get to talk about it earlier in the week. This is Mike Hilton and Mekhi Blackmon. Mike Hilton, over the past several weeks, or several years, has been one of the better nickel corners. And honestly, it's been him and Kenny Moore alongside each other as two of the better ones in football. Now, this is, I think, where it gets interesting because the Colts this week decided to sign former Pittsburgh Steelers and Cincinnati Bengals cornerback Mike Hilton. And he's been paired with Mekhi Blackmon, who both were brought in to add depth into this position when Kenny Moore has not been there. This is going to be a huge task to line up against Puka Nacua, who is going to be, he's nothing short of fantastic. He's one of the best wide receivers in football. And I think that when you have a guy who's just two guys who weren't even on the team in July or August, I think this is going to be a really challenging ask for both of them. And we're going to hope that Mike Hilton is exactly who he's been historically. But we have no idea. Puka has been nothing short of unreal. He's leading the NFL in catch, 29 on 35 targets with 333 receiving yards and first downs. So he's leading the NFL in all of those. Hilton and Blackmon are going to have to limit Nacua. And again, it's going to come down to the pass rush. I think that's really where a lot of this is going to fall. You're going to have to hope that Matthew Stafford, it doesn't play like Matthew Stafford, and that this defense is going to be able to hold up to something incredible. And this is going to rely so much on Anarumo's scheme more than anything. I think when you've got young quarterbacks, it's easy for a guy like Lou Anarumo to be able to mask coverages and to hide and to be able to disguise. You're going up against Matthew Stafford, one of the smartest quarterbacks in football. This is a future Hall of Famer, Super Bowl champion, Matthew Stafford. This is not going to be an easy task. And the Colts haven't won against the Rams, I think, since 2009, if I'm mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I do believe that the Colts have not been able to pull out a victory against the Los Angeles Rams in many, many years. So I think that this is an opportunity for one of the Colts to continue a winning streak and to face off against a team. But let's not fault this here and give the Rams more than they're worth. The two teams the Rams have won against are a 1-2 Houston Texans and an 0-3 Tennessee Titans. So it's not like they faced off against these dramatically incredible teams. They faced off against teams that the Colts, they haven't faced the Texans yet, but they faced off against the Titans and narrowly came away with a victory. I believe that the Colts, on paper and on the field, are a way better team than the Tennessee Titans. So we will see, but we hope and believe that the Colts are going to be able to come away with an absolute incredible victory, move to 4-0, and continue to climb into the power rankings on what this football team is and what they're becoming, and we're excited to watch it.